Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we're going to be talking about what I've been watching for the month of June. And oh my gosh, this month has been awesome for shows and movies and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like hit or miss. This month everything is just like yes, so fantastic. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. The first thing that I watched, I've actually been watching for a couple months. I think it started in March and then ended in June. I don't know. Anyway, it is The Staircase, and this is not to be confused with the Staircase documentary. This is the Staircase miniseries that is on HBO Max. Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 93%, and the audience score gave it a 78%. I loved it. It is a miniseries starring Colin Firth and Toni Collette. If you have not seen the Staircase documentary, I recommend watching that first, because this miniseries is based off of the documentary. If you haven't seen it, it is on Netflix, and I think there's like maybe 6 or 8 episodes. Fantastic documentary. I've watched it like 3 times. So when The Staircase came out, the miniseries, I was like all over it. And my husband, he's a big fan as well, so he was like, yes, we have got to see this show. Anyway, so there's like a hair that's like bothering me. This show explores the life of Michael Peterson, and Michael Peterson, I think he's like a writer or something like that. Like, he's written a few books, but I don't really know what else he did before that. I know he was in the military. I'm not sure if it was the Marines or the Army, Air Force. I don't know, something like that. But it explores the life of Michael Peterson and the mysterious death of Kathleen Peterson, his wife. And it's called The Staircase because his wife, something happens to her in the staircase of their home, and she dies. It's very complicated, and there have always been 3 main theories of what has happened. Did she slip and fall and die from a head injury? Did Michael Peterson beat her to death? Did an owl attack her outside of her home and she comes running in to escape it and trips and falls and then dies? It's like there are so many parts to this story, and I don't think that we will ever get the true answer. But this mini-series shows all 3 ways that she could have died. And I mean, they did a great job with it, and they did a lot of research on the family that wasn't included in the documentary and stuff. I just think that it's fantastic, but still it leaves you wondering what really happened. There are some cases out there that just drive me insane. This is one of them. The other one is Teresa Halbach from Making a Murderer. I have an idea. I'm not going to get into that one. I could talk about that for a long time, but this is just one of those cases where I'm just like, what happened? Anyway, so yes, go watch that. But if you haven't seen the documentary, watch that first. Awesome. Okay, the next thing that I watched is a guilty pleasure. kind of show. I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it because it's like, I don't tell people that I watch this show. And technically this is a new show, and it is a reality show. I hate reality shows. Hate them. Except for this one. It's the Kardashians. It's the Kardashians on Hulu. Not to be mixed up with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which was on E! But you can also watch it on Hulu as well. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 33%. Audience score 26. What? Okay. I love the Kardashians. I know. I'm a terrible person. But I do. I know there's lots of people who love them. There has to be, or else nobody would know who the Kardashians are. But I've been watching them for like 15 years, you know. I'm pretty sure they were introduced into my life the same year that I met my husband. Yeah. So they've been in my life a long time. Like, I really know them. But I like this show better than Keeping Up with the Kardashians because I feel like because it was on a certain program, it had to be more filtered. This one, I feel like it's more open, and they'll, like, in the middle of filming, they'll stop and talk to the camera. Like, they've never done that before, ever. It's very interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. But again, I think that this show is for hardcore Kardashian fans who've been there from the beginning, because if you don't know anything about the Kardashians and you haven't seen any of their shows and then you just turn this on, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, these people are so privileged, and like, how can they just live a life like this? And they over dramatize things, but they do it for the show, I think. But some of it is real, you know, and I don't know, it's just interesting. I really like it. And Kim Kardashian is dating Pete Davidson, who I love. So it's like, I was like, is he going to be in the show? Is he? Ugh. His voice was on the show. He never made an appearance. So I think he might be in the next season. I think they got signed on for another 4 seasons or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I can't wait for that because I really like them. Anyway, so the next thing that I watched was a show, and it's on HBO Max called Barry. This was season 3. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 100%. Yes, 100%. And the audience score gave it an 86%. I love Barry so much. It stars Bill Hader, Henry Winkler. Every time I think of him, I think of the Fonz, because I used to watch Happy Days as a little kid. So it's like, it's funny to see Arthur Fonzarelli as an old man. It's just like, what? Anyway, and then also Anthony Carrigan, who plays, I think it's NoHo Hank. He's the funniest character on this show. It's supposed to be a comedy, and it is, but also it's not. Because it gets really intense. It's like an action, drama, comedy mixed together. I don't know, it's very strange. But Bill Hader plays this I think Marine, but ex-military, ex-crazy assassin turned actor. Very strange scenario. But it works. It works and it makes sense and it's hilarious, but also this season is the craziest season ever. And it's the most intense season. If you have not seen Barry, you gotta watch it from the beginning. You can't just start in some random season, because you're gonna be like, what is going on? But it's like, it's one of those shows where he gets into these situations and you're like, is he gonna get caught? How's he gonna get out of this one, right? But I don't know, it's not like a sitcom. How are you gonna get out of this one? No, it's much more intense. But the season ended in such a way that I literally, my mouth just dropped open, and I look over at my husband, was the same way, and we were just like in silence for like a minute. What did we just watch? How is he gonna get out of this one? You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's so good, so good. Okay, the next, it's also a mini series show that I watched, is on HBO Max, and it is The Time Traveler's Wife. Not to be confused with the movie. This is a mini series. When I heard that this was first coming out, I was mad because I loved the movie so much. I think it has Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana, maybe? I don't know. I loved the movie so much. Like, it was just fantastic. But the characters aren't them. It is Rose Leslie, and I remember her from Game of Thrones. So I was like, I don't know about this. And then Theo James, which I have never heard of before. So I was just like, who is this guy? Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 38%. Audience score gave it an 84%. I give it 100%. At first I was not happy. I was like, who do these people think they are playing these characters? Like, no, this is gonna be trash. But by the end of the first episode, I was like, oh my god, I want more. I am so in love with the story, with the characters. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm sure you have no idea what this is about, but there's this character named Henry, I think, and he is a time traveler, but he doesn't control it from like the age of 7 or 8 or something. He will just be doing his thing and then just disappear. His clothes will be up in a pile on the floor, and then he'll go somewhere else in time, in the future, in the past, to times that are significant in his life or places that he has been. And when he arrives there, he's sweaty, naked, and starving, and also nauseous, and he'll puke everywhere. Like, the little boy, when you see the little boy, this happened to the little boy, it's like you feel really bad for him. But like, as he gets older, he figures out how to do things. But this is about his wife as well, you know, and how they meet and stuff like that. And he's living in a totally different timeline than she is, because he travels, you know, but eventually they'll meet up. But the wife meets him when he's like 46 years old or something, and she's like 6 years old. And but he already knows her, and he, like, I don't know, it's confusing when you watch the show or the movie. It makes sense. It's based off of a book. I've never read the book. I think I want to read the book because it's just so fantastic. And you know, books are always better than the movie or the show. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to get this book. Now the thing that I'm mad about is this is a mini series. So this was just a one and done type of thing. But I want more. And I think other people want more too. And the writers have said that they left it open to where you could, because there's more that happens in the book, you could continue it on. It just depends on how well it does with viewers and stuff like that. So I'm hoping it does really, really well, because I want it more. Like, I'll probably watch it over again because it's just so good. So good. Okay. The next show is the absolute greatest show ever. Obviously it's not The Office, but it's close. It's Stranger Things. Stranger Things. I love it. Okay, so this is season 4, part 1. It stars Winona Ryder and David Harbour and Millie Bobby Brown. I love Millie Bobby Brown. She is fantastic. This is on Netflix. Audience score gave it an 89. Oh wait, no, that was Rotten Tomato score. Rotten Tomato gave it an 89. Audience score gave it a 90. I loved every minute of it. It is amazing. It's like things have never been stranger. Okay, so at the end of season 3, Elle loses her powers, and they move out of town and stuff like that. So this shows them in another town. Like, the group of friends are separated. Some people are still in Hawkins, some people are in a different town, and people are very mean to Elle. I hate high school. It is not cool. I think she's in high school now, and they're just mean, and she can't take it anymore, and she tries to use her powers, and she just looks stupid because she doesn't have her powers, and then they make fun of her even more. So not cool. Anyway, I don't want to get into the details, but this show, it's like this season is so different than any other season of Stranger Things, and it's like actually scary. Like, I wasn't scared before out of all the other seasons, but this season is scary. It's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Like, it's just new bad guys are revealed, and you learn stuff more about the story. It's like you think you know all the story. You don't. There's more to it. It's like, oh my gosh. And it's just really intense and just scary, and you're sitting at the edge of your seat like the whole time. Like, it's so good. Me, my husband, and my daughter, we binged it like for several days, but because the episodes this season are long, and I'm loving that. But I definitely know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, because part 2 comes out. Oh my god, we're so excited. And I think there's only 2 episodes left, but they're like movie length episodes. Like, I think it's going to be like 4 hours or something. And I'm like, what's going to happen? I feel like everybody's just going to die. And if Elle dies, I'll lose it. I will just lose it. But also, I read that the Duffer Brothers, the creators of the show, are working on a spin-off. What? And it's in the same universe. So it's like, what could the spin-off be? Who's gonna be in it? If everybody dies, is it gonna be like a whole new show? And is it gonna be even worth it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I'm very excited for tomorrow, because I'm gonna watch Stranger Things, and then it's gonna be over, and then I'm gonna cry. Okay, the next thing that I watched was a movie, and it was on Peacock. It's called The Northman. Rotten Tomato score gave it an 89. Audience score gave it a 64. This stars Alexander Skarsgård and Nicole Kidman and a bunch of other people. But I was like, wait a minute. Alexander Skarsgård is playing the Northman. Hello, he was in True Blood as Eric Northman. What? Who was a prince in, like, Viking times or whatever. And I'm like, how are they gonna act like I'm not gonna remember that? I just thought that it was so funny that Eric Northman is playing the Northman. You know what I mean? Anyway, so, yeah, this follows, like, Norse mythology, kind of. I don't know anything about Norse mythology. I watched it and I immediately was like, my husband would love this because he's obsessed with Norse mythology. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know, it sounds weird. And I begged him to watch it. I was like, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it. So he finally watched it, and then he loved it, and then he was mad because he wanted it more. He said that it was such a great movie that he wished it was a series. And he's like, they followed the Norse mythology very well. I don't know, I just thought it was good. So there's this young prince, very young, like, I don't know, 10, 14, I don't know. And he sees his uncle kill his father, who is king, and then kidnap his mother and take over the kingdom or whatever. And so he escapes because they were going to kill him. And the guy who was going to kill him, he cuts his nose off and escapes. That was disgusting. But then that guy goes back to the new king and he's like, oh yes, he's dead, I saw him drowned, Well, so he's like in this boat, like rowing away, saying that he's gonna avenge his father and save his mother and kill his uncle, right? Well, he finds him 2 decades later and starts working on his plan. It's actually a pretty smart plan. He doesn't just go for the attack or anything like that. And it's like, it's so cool because as I was watching it, I was like, this would be the greatest video game ever, because I feel like he hallucinates a lot, but also, is he? I don't know. It's really, really cool. I liked it a lot. And if that was a show, like a series or something, I would definitely watch that as well. Okay. The next thing that we're going to talk about is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's on Netflix, and it is The Peaky Blinders. I love that show so much. I love it so much. This was the final season. Oh no, it's over. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 100%. Audience score gave it 89%. Me and my husband started it, and we got like 3 episodes in or something, and I like looked over at him and I was like, is it just me, or does this show suck so far? And he was like, oh my god, I thought it was just me, I didn't want to say anything. And I was like, right, what's going on with this? It was just so slow, and they were dragging things out, and you didn't know anything. I was like, I feel like they're just doing this for like fluff and filler, like nothing happened. As soon as I said that, everything hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? Stuff went crazy. You're like, what is going on? And it's just, it started out disappointing and slow, and then it gets really, really good. And then it started to come to an end, and I was like, I know they're not going to do this to me. If they end it like this, I am going to be pissed, because there's no way this would happen. Never. Like, I was furious. And then they took the story and then they turned it like 360 turn, and you're like, wait, what the hell is going on here? What is going on? And then as soon as you're like getting really into it and you're engaged, you're like, yes, it ends. And I'm like, what just happened? I'm glad that it didn't end the way that I thought that it was going to end, but it ended, and I was like hugely disappointed. Like, what in the hell is going on? I was just crushed. And then my husband was like, well, they had to leave it that way for the movie. And I said, what? Oh my God, there's gonna be a Peaky Blinders movie. Yes. So I was like, okay, that's fine. It can end like that. It just made me happy because I was just like, okay, it had to end that way so that they can make more things happen in the movie, I guess. Anyway, super good. I looked it up and it said that I think the movie's going to start filming in 2023, or maybe they're already filming it and it's going to release in 2023. I don't know. I can't remember, but I'm very excited about the movie. Okay, the last thing that I watched was on Peacock, and it is Downton Abbey, A New Era. I love Downton Abbey so much. I had never heard of it, and like a few years ago, my mother-in-law told me about it, and she was like, oh, you gotta watch this show. You gotta. So I started watching the show, and I was hooked. I just loved it. It's like, Rotten Tomato score gave it an 86, and audience score gave it a 97. This is not the show, this is the movie. And I'm kind of hoping that's what Peaky Blinders is doing. Like, the show is over, now it's time to release movies, because this is the second Downton Abbey movie that's come out since the show has ended. It's got a huge cast, like the biggest cast ever. Tons and tons of people in this, but it's Downton Abbey is, if you haven't seen it, it's the show starts out like immediately after the Titanic sinks in England, because it's a very old school type where there's like estates and people who inherit these estates and stuff like that. And the person who was to inherit Downton died or something like that. I don't know. So everything's very over dramatized and stuff, and it's because these people are like mega rich and they literally just sit around drinking tea and just being like, oh my, and like if you've seen Downton Abbey, you understand what I'm talking about. Everything is just so scandalous, and they're like old money. So anyway, but yeah, this one, it's like classic Downton Abbey. It's like same, there's minor dramas, but it's blown up into bigger scandalous problems, and in this movie the family possibly scandalously inherits this new villa in the south of France, and so half of the house and half of the help go to, I don't know, France or whatever I said, and the other half stay home, and they start doing these other things that they would never do in their house before. But the times, they are changing, and Downton is slowly changing with it. I don't know. Anyway, super, super good movie. I love all of these characters, and like, if you've seen the show, you get attached, even though it's over dramatized and stuff like that. Like, the characters grow and change. Like, there's one character that I absolutely hated, Baxter, I think his name is. I hated him, but now I'm just like rooting for him, and I'm like, I love him and I want nothing but the best for him, Also in this movie, one of the characters who I thought was happy, and I was happy that she was finally happy. Turns out she's not so happy, and you're like, oh, you feel bad and sad. The movie was really, really good, but it ended sadly. Like, I never cry at Downton Abbey, never. And this movie, I actually cried at the end. I was just like, and I really hope that they have a Downton Abbey 3, because if it ends like this, I'm gonna be pissed. If I never see another Downton Abbey and this is how it ends, I'm not gonna be okay with that. I'm just not. I'll have to create my own ending, I guess. But I don't know, it was just really, really good. And I looked it up. I was like, Downton Abbey 3, the movie, let's go. When is this happening? And as of right now, there's no plans for Downton Abbey 3. It all depends on how the audience reacts to Downton Abbey 2, the new era. So, if you haven't seen it, watch it. Give it a thumbs up on, I don't know, can you give it a thumbs up on Peacock? I don't know if you can, but I mean, it got great scores, so I'm hoping. Anyway, so yeah, that is all the awesome things that I watch for this month. I have no idea what's coming out next month except for Stranger Things, which I'm very excited about. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.